Kubor ka Batisi TV. Lawan rasipi da ka umsingam beats aqua na molai moro hakajingdap sunsnem jongka. Rengkat ka 3 Olives Restaurant M Crown Hotel Kendailat Shillong bat ka Orange Nissan Loan So Po Shillong. One bantiet ya ka kali Datsun Ready Go bathamai ka bas kem bat bidor.
Lamphang ke Ïing Dorbar Thaw ke jela uba medba lingdo ula Plie pajba ya ka dorsa Kynmaw ya Lamphang barim ke Ïing Dorbar Thaw u Dr. Don Kupar Roy ban pensa Kynmaw ya utai unong yelam ubala khlat no karba udang don hakasuki jong u la Plie pajba ya ka ni ka dur hadin balawai ka Dorbar senrai kabalalong hakasantrik unai wing arjar arpo hakani ka jingyelang ladon lang menteri rang ba ka sarkar jela u Konrad Konggal Sangma unong yalam kaliang persya u Dr. Mukul Sangma ki menteri sarkar ki MLA bat kiwai pan.
Rather at the outset, thank the Honorable Speaker for this initiative to have a portrait of one of the colleagues who were together in the team. The leader who have been part of the whole team in serving the people of the state, led Dr. Don Kupar Roy. He also, in addition to being the Chief Minister of the state, was also our Speaker. And it is only befitting that a trait of his will be today dedicated before us. I'm very happy to be part of this program. I am definitely looking forward for seeing this portrait after this when we shift to the new venue, the new assembly building. And it will always be probably befitting to see the portrait of all the speakers and deputy speakers. A dedicated space may be provided there. I think we are on the right track. And the beginning is being made today. It also gives us an opportunity to remember who was one of us, Dr. Don Kupar Roy, a very good friend of mine. We would have been happy to see him around us, and would have been definitely a source of lots of advice, suggestions for all of us, both ruling and opposition. And it's only therefore appropriate that we remember these leaders. We have the privilege of having illustrious leaders who have occupied the post of Speaker. And since this beautiful initiative is embarked upon by the Honorable Speaker, yes, as we shift to the new assembly building, I'm sure we should have the portrait of all the speakers, from the first speaker till both those who have left us and those who are still living. I think that will be appropriate, including also the deputy speakers.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Speaker and the Assembly Secretariat for taking this really great initiative. This was some time back that we had a sitting with the Honorable Speaker discussing about the new assembly building that is coming up. And we were discussing about the interiors of how the building should be, what kind of look it should have, and other aspects of things. And that's when the Honorable Speaker mentioned to me that like it's there in the Parliament, in the Lok Sabha, and even in Rajya Sabha. So they have a corridor where they have got the pictures and portraits of all the speakers. So it will be nice to have a corridor or a space where we give homage and respect to these leaders who have held the highest post in our assembly, which could be not just a respect to them, but more of a source of inspiration for the members as well as the future generation of the state. So it is in line with what the Leader of Opposition has mentioned, that this was a discussion, an idea that came out from the Speaker that day. And I'm very sure that today is the beginning of that process. I'm sure that this portrait will be taken to the new Assembly building, and we will not just have Dr. Don's portrait, but we'll have the portrait, as mentioned, of all the speakers and other leaders also. I was also discussing with the Honourable Speaker that time, and he mentioned that not just the portraits of the speakers, but we should have some sections where even the history of the state, and important aspects of the state could reflect around in the Assembly. If you in fact go to a lot of the parliaments in other parts of the world, they always have a history behind everything that is there. So they'll have some sections that talks about some war that was there, or some kind of an important event that took place in the history of that country. And I think the new Assembly could in fact have those sections where our young children from schools could then go and see, experience, learn, and most importantly be motivated about being and understanding about governance, about legislation, and about how things happen in the Assembly and the government and the history of the state as a whole. So all these points were discussed, and as I said, I'm sure that this first step of putting the portrait of Dr. Don is just the beginning of it, and I'm sure it will be followed up with many more to come.
The first speaker while in office who passed away. So it is really worth for us to remember this great leader. No doubt about it, we had many leaders in the past who have served the state at a capacity as a speakers. No doubt about it. But fortunately or unfortunately, he was the first speaker while in office who passed away. So, for us, and especially for me, after his demise, that I have to take over as the Speaker of this House, every now and then I always seek the cooperation and support from all of you as my dear colleagues. I would like to see that the dream of this tall leader be completed. I would like to thank my Commissioner Secretary, Andrew, the Secretary and all officers for making this program today. And as I've said, that I would like to see the light of the day, that the construction of the new Assembly building be completed before we celebrate the 50 years of our statehood. We don't know much about the past, but efforts have been made to see where the new Assembly building will be constructed. But I have to thank late Dr. Don for taking the initiative to see that the construction of the Assembly building starts immediately without any delay. I still remember that some friends, colleagues have suggested him that, Mr. Speaker, let us inaugurate a foundation stone. He outrightly refused to do so. And instead, he said, let us do the inauguration after the completion of the construction. I think this is what we have to learn. For me, which I'm sure, especially friends in the UDP, though friends from other political parties, as like what mentioned, stated by the Honour LO, Dr. Mukul Sangma, the Chief Minister, Comrade K. Sangma, I'm sure with all of you, your experience you have shared with him, and I'm sure that you must have learned a lot of things also from this gentleman. He is a visionary. He has a vision with him. And he always loved to listen. He loves to hear what others speak, rather than him speaking. I always get very angry sometimes when I chat with him, try to get something from him, but at the end of the day I will not get anything from him. But this is also learning. Though he don't speak, but silence taught us what we have to and what we should. So, I feel very privileged to be here together with the Chief Minister, my comrade, Leader of Opposition, Dr. Mukul Sangma, and all of you, that we would like to unveil the portrait of late Dr. Don Kupar Roy.